Hey everyone, how's it going? Today I'm giving my full review of the ZTE Warp Elite on Boost Mobile. Had this phone for a few weeks now, and I've had a chance to use it quite a bit. So I'm going to tell you what I think about it, run some tests, give you the specs of the phone, play some games, just kind of go over some features and tell you what I like about it and don't like about it. So let's go ahead and get started. This phone runs Android 5.1.1 Lollipop. It does have a 5.5 inch display at 720 by 1280 resolution at 267 pixels per inch. It is 67.8% screen to body ratio. It has scratch resistant glass and cornering Gorilla Glass 3. This phone has a 13 megapixel camera on the rear with LED flash, microphone here beside it. It records on 1480 30 frames per second. Also has a 5 megapixel camera here on the front, which also records in 720. This phone runs a 1.2 gigahertz quad core Snapdragon 410 processor with a 64-bit chip, Adreno 306 GPU, 2 gigabytes of RAM, 16 gigabytes of onboard storage with 10 gigabytes available to user, and it will support up to a 64 gigabyte micro SD card. It's got a 3000 milliamp hour battery with around 20 hours of talk time, and it is non-user replaceable. This phone runs LTE and also supports Sprint Spark Enhanced LTE service. It has Bluetooth 4.1, USB 2.0, and from what I have heard, it does have Quick Charge 1.0. However, I'm unable at this time to exactly know for sure if it does or not. This has been a great phone. This is actually it actually is the best phone I've ever used. It's got a good look to it. It's very thin, very slim, and the phone just looks really good in general. It got the nice 5.5 inch display. The bezels are kind of big on the phone, which makes it look pretty tall. But at least the touch buttons are on the body and not on the screen, so you get the full 5.5 inches. So yeah, your back, your home, recents button down here. On top is your earpiece, 5 megapixel camera. Also the blue light in the center here pulsates whenever you get a text message, Twitter, whatever it may be. On the side here is your nano SIM card slot. Rest of it's clean. On the bottom is your micro USB charging port, microphone here. On this side, power button, volume rocker, micro SD card slot here. On top, 3.5mm headset jack. On the back is your camera, your flash, your ZTE branding, and your single rear speaker is down here. The back can't be removed, and so therefore it's all sealed in. I like the gold accents around the ZTE around the front here. The bottom has a gold plate looking to it, as well as the back, and it's just got a really nice look to it, and it's a really solid built phone. It's kind of light, it's not very heavy, but it's very comfortable to talk on. So we'll go ahead and wake the phone up here, and right now the screen looks very good. 720p display. Right now the brightness is set pretty low, as you can see there, and it still looks really good, and I can really about go anywhere with that brightness as long as I'm not in real bright sunlight. So while I'm here, there is some touch buttons here. Scroll on down, you got airplane mode, location, sync, normal. Get your flashlight here that you can turn on for your flashlight, which is really nice to have. Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, auto rotate. Up here is your battery indicator. I was hoping for the indicator to be up here on the signal bar, or next to the signal bar like a lot of phones are, but unfortunately it's not that way. Like I said, the screen looks good whether you turn it side to side. However, the screen really does not lose any of its color. It looks really good. The phone is very smooth. There's really no lag to it whatsoever. I have put this phone through a lot of stuff, and it has just been lightning fast and quick, and it's just been a very good phone. I mean, with ZTE, I'm very impressed. We'll go ahead right now and look at some of the tests I ran. I will not run N92, it reset itself, but it did run around 22,000 on the N92 benchmark. We will run a Geekbench 3 because it don't take near as long. I want to make mention right quick about the call quality. This thing has extremely good call quality. It's very clear, and people on the other end can hear me very well. I can hear people on my end very well with no muffling, no hissing, no buzzing. It's just very clear with no issues whatsoever. So I'm very impressed with the call quality of this phone. And this phone retails for $179.99 online. Right now they got a promotion going on where if you go in store and buy it for like an upgrade, you can get it for only $79.99 in a Boost Mobile store. And I think if you do a port over from another carrier other than a Sprint type carrier, you can buy this phone for, I think it's $30 if you port your number over, which is an exceptional deal. And I still say $179 is worth every penny of it. I mean, it does everything well. I've only got one issue with this phone, which I will get to towards the end of this video, so be sure to stay tuned for all of that. So right now we're just waiting for this here to finish running this benchmark. It's a little bit slow for some reason. I like the phone because it has the 2 GB of RAM and 16 gigs of onboard storage. It really helps out, especially if you play a lot of games, stuff like that. It really helps at having the extra RAM and having the extra onboard storage. Plus, it holds the SD card, and a lot of games can be, a lot of stuff can be moved over to the SD card if it's compatible. So here, got a test of 478 single score and 1415 on multi-score. And when I ran that test, I was like, I wasn't too impressed. You know, when you look at the scores here, the scores kind of are about the same as the LG Volt 2 that has half the RAM and half the ROM. So really, just because a phone has 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB of onboard storage don't mean it's actually going to score higher on these benchmark tests. As you'll see here also on Quadrant that I will run, it's going to come out about the same speed as you see other phones with similar processors. So, you know, a lot of times people says, you know, well, 2 GB of RAM is better than 1, and it is to an extent because it is smoother on certain gameplay. It does seem to run better, and it does seem to not have as much lag, but it does not. It's really not that much of a difference. You know, so some will argue with that, some will agree with that, but you know, I think that just because it has double the RAM, double the ROM, it's really not that much difference as far as benchmark tests goes. So, you know, I don't put much stock in benchmark tests. I just run them to kind of give you a comparison of some other things I've tested. So this here came in at 13,473. So actually scored a little bit less than the LG Volt 2 did. But still, like I said, this phone is very smooth and everything. It just works very well. Right now, we're going to play a game. We're going to go into Temple Run 2. And I hope that my camera is doing a little bit of justice with this screen, because this screen is very nice. It looks very good. Turn the volume down a bit. Got a pretty loud speaker on this phone as well. This phone does exactly what you want it to do. Oops, I was looking through the camera screen and was not looking at the game, so I'll do it one more time. That was my fault. This phone works flawlessly. I mean, every direction you do, it's just really good, and it just has no fails whatsoever. Very quick. So yeah, you've seen a little bit of gameplay there on Temple Run. Very good, very smooth. We're going to play a little bit heavier game of Asphalt 8. We're going to kind of show you how this game plays on this phone as well. Plays very good, and it works very well. And you know, this game here is easily over about 1.5 gigs, so it's a pretty big game. and it's very good to test out to see how good and solid the quality is. Like I said, screen quality is excellent on this phone. Volume quality up the back. It does have that Dolby Digital sound for movies, music, voice, and it really puts out some sound. I can about imagine how good it would sound through headphones, which I have not tried yet. So let's go ahead here and just run this race. For some reason it takes a while to load the screen, or it did last time I tried to review this phone. Took it a little while to load up, but once it did, it ran very smooth. The silence. But yeah, I mean, this is an awesome phone. I really can't. I mean, I brag on it a lot because it is such a great phone. Looking through my camera screen, so I might not drive very well. But the game is very smooth, very fluid, and it has virtually no lag to it whatsoever on gameplay. So I'm very impressed with the phone itself. It's just, you can see how smooth it is. Just really nice. So we'll go ahead and push home, and everything comes back up. Runs very smooth, very fast, even after playing a big game. So it's very solid build. Now, like I said earlier about the RAM and the ROM, yes, having 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB of onboard storage really does help. Even though the benchmark scores was about the same as the LG Vault 2, I have noticed this phone has virtually no lag at all. From what I have been able to see, from the time that I've used the phone, it's virtually been lag free. So we're going to the settings here, and you have your standard settings here. Your Wi-Fi, airplane, mobile hotspot, all that good stuff. Storage, like I said, is 16 GB. If you can see that there. Available is 477 because I got a lot of games on here right now and a lot of big apps. But you get 10 GB available whenever it's formatted. I like these little buttons down here. Like I said, they do light up whenever you get a text message, and it pulsates, and it's just really, I like the way that they designed their home key on this phone. One thing about this phone that I really do not care about is the fact that you need this little key thing here on the side to eject your SIM card or in your micro SD card. I will not eject it, but you just put it in there, push down on it, this here pops out, and it's your tray for your micro SD card slot and your nano SIM card slot on this side. I don't really like that about this phone, because if you was to lose this thing, you're gonna have to buy another one, and there's really no other way to get it out unless you got something this size, very small, to get it out with. So I don't like that, because if you forget it and need a micro SD card to put in there or something like that, then you're out of luck, pretty much. So I don't like that about the phone. I like whenever you have actual, you can just, take the back off or whatever to get it out. So that's one thing about it I don't like. We'll go into the camera here. Actually, I'm going to give you a little bit of a size comparison between this phone and the LG Vault 2, side by side. So you can see here is even, and you can see there's not a whole lot of space there, about a ½ an inch. Really, the LG Vault, the Vault 2 comes almost even where the screen lines up right here. This has got a 5-inch screen versus a 5.5-inch display, so it's a little bit bigger, but it's really not a whole. It's not like a gigantic difference. It is wider, of course, than the LG Volt 2, but it's not very bad. So we'll go into the camera here and go through some of the features of the camera. And it's just very quick. Take a picture, just fast. You got Pro mode, automatic, fun mode. So fun mode here you have panorama, HDR mode, effect mode, which you got Lomo, sepia, mono, cool, warm, comic, fisheye, mirror, and mosaic. Pro mode over here is really cool as well because you have your exposure, your ISO, white balance. I guess that's your leveling meter there, and of course your grid of 9 grids, golden spiral, are off. Up here, got your picture size, so it has all the sizes of the pictures here. It does not tell if it's 5, 3, 2, whatever, or 13, but of course 13 megapixels, and it goes down from there. Shutter tone on or off. Video mode, you got 1080p, 720, 480 VGA, and MMS, time lapse, and focus lock when recording, which is really nice as well. Plus self timer up top. Go to the front facing camera. The front facing camera is very good on this phone. It's very clear, takes very good pictures, and I'm very satisfied with the quality that the pictures take. Even in lower lighting, they're pretty good. You got beauty mode down here, auto effects, which is the same effects as on the rear. Up here is your capture and smile. So when you smile, it captures it for you. Menu button, picture size, of course, is 5 megapixel, point and shoot, shutter tone, geotag and review, storage location, self timer, all that good stuff. Like I said, there's your effects, which are about the same as I told you about a minute ago. Video records in 720, 480, VGA, and MMS, and that's about it. But it does take really good pictures. Like I said, very solid built phone, highly reliable, call quality is superior, reception is very good as well. Really one of the best phones I've ever had with Boost Mobile for reception. I can get out very clear anywhere and everywhere I go. LTE may be a little weaker than some phones when you go in from 3G to LTE. It may take a little bit longer to go into LTE, but it's still very strong once you get into it, so that's not a big issue. One thing about the phone that I do not like is the battery. It has a 3,000 milliamp hour LiPo battery, which most have the lithium-ion batteries. This one has a LiPo battery, or a lipolymer or something like that battery. And personally, I'm not crazy about the battery in this thing. It does not have the best battery life. We give it a full charge. If you use it on average usage, you might get through a whole day on a charge. If you are a heavy usage or a heavy user, you might get through a work day. Cause I can play a few games, get on YouTube, do stuff like that, and the battery just drops dramatically. And so I can tell the difference between a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, this lithium ion, and one that's LiPo. So I'm not crazy about the LiPo battery. Battery life is not that great, but that's just really the only issue that I have with the phone is the battery life, because it's just not good. And unfortunately, you can't replace it, so you can't have a spare one if you need one. So you gotta take it like it is. But this has just been my review of the ZTE Warp Elite. I hope it helped you out a little bit. A little scattered. Been trying to get this review done here for a while now, and I finally think I got it decent enough to where I can post it. If it helped you out a little bit, give me a thumbs up. I sure would appreciate that. If you got any questions or comments about this phone that maybe I didn't add, please be sure to ask me, and I'll get back with you as soon as possible. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. I sure would appreciate it. Excellent phone. You can't go wrong with the ZTE Warp Elite. Y'all have a good one, and we'll see y'all in the next video.